What's happening, everyone? This is Simon of Latte Dad. Welcome back to the channel. Right now I'm with little Joey. Had to take him out for a little walk. We're walking the mean streets of North Merrick in Long Island, New York. It's a very nice leafy suburb around here. I think it's quite upper middle class by all accounts. It's kind of like those neighborhoods you see in the films. Quite suburban, nice white picket fences everywhere. Individual detached housing. It's very quiet, it's pleasant. So I've got Michael at home sleeping for his afternoon nap. So I thought I'd take Joey out for a little walk, try and get him down for his nap as well. But he's finally dropped off, which is good because we've been locked out. Not locked out of the house, but locked out of the country. So yeah, we've been locked out of the country. That country obviously not being the US, but being Singapore, the country that I've called home for the last 12 and a half years. Right, so to set the scene, a few days ago, Singapore went back into phase 2 of lockdown, or what they term the circuit breaker. They've put more restrictions in place because local cases have started to go up. So let's just have a look at that, shall we? Alright, so today, based on the government WhatsApp, there's been 7 new cases locally. The day before there were 4 new cases. The day before that 2. The day before that there was 1 new case of locally transmitted COVID-19 infection. And the day before that there was 10. So numbers have been hovering around like between 0 and double digits, low teens. Okay, so yeah, you could call that a spike in cases. Singapore being overly cautious, you could say it doesn't hurt, all in the name of safety obviously, but with the move back into phase 2 of circuit breaker, it means they've also tightened border restrictions. Well, that means for us, we've just been informed today that the Singapore government are no longer allowing us back into the country. The country that is our family home, we're locked out. Alright, so let's just go back, set the scene on how this could have happened. Mr. DJ.
Can I get a rewind?
As an expat employed in Singapore, if you wish to go on holiday, no problem, you can leave the country. But if you wish to return to Singapore, you have to get approval from the Singapore government, and the only way you can do that is through your employer. And they would apply on your behalf through the various government portals, get your approval, happy days, off you go. If you don't get your approval, well, then there's no point jumping on that return flight back to Singapore. And we got our approval, so off we went. And now throw into the mix a spike in the community cases, and we have a return to phase 2 of lockdown and a tightening of borders. And with that came our approval to get back into the country being rescinded, leaving us currently stranded in the US. Now obviously things could be worse. We are in the US after all, we are with family, and although it may not look like it, we are coming into summer and the weather is getting quite nice. But we have to bear in mind as well though that Lauren is currently pregnant and we're about to go into her 3rd trimester, so before June or before July she won't be able to fly. So we have to kind of get back to see our doctor and get home to give birth.
Alright, so ultimately I think we were prepared for this. It was a risk obviously leaving the country, and this specific situation was a possibility that we discussed happening before we even left Singapore. So in that sense we were prepared in that we had a plan B or a plan C. We had researched a couple of doctors in the country and potential birth options as well, birth centre options where we could potentially give birth. Now obviously we don't have any insurance here, so that is a big issue, and it is our preference to get back to Singapore to see our doctor and to give birth, where we also gave birth to Michael and Joey. But whether that will happen, we really don't know at the moment. So can we say we're really shocked at what happened? Not really that surprised. I guess we are a little bit surprised, if anything, at the fact that the government actually rescinded our approval once we already had it. We thought that if we had the approval, you know, it would still be outstanding, that we could still use that to get back into Singapore, but that's obviously not the case.
And this is the beautiful spring weather I was talking about. 22 degrees, not a cloud in the sky, sound of lawnmowers everywhere and the smell of freshly cut grass. Really, really nice. I'm back out with Joey, taking him for his little walk, getting him off for his nap. And we've had a big update on what's going on back in Singapore to when I filmed a couple of days ago. Isn't it just funny how you can go to bed and the world is one way, and then you wake up the next morning and the world has completely changed? So I woke up to a barrage of text messages from everyone back in Singapore, and the situation seems to have gotten worse. Phase 2 has gotten tighter. They call it heightened alert. So group sizes have gone from 8 down to 5, and now 5 down to 2. Bars and restaurants are closed, and pretty much everything is closing back down again. Shopping malls are limiting their capacity. So it's not a complete lockdown because I believe schools are open. Default setting is for people to work from home. But yeah, it's not looking great. Now the current phase 2 of lockdown has been extended until the 13th of June. And as it stands, what it means for us is that, well, technically I could get back into the country because I'm a Singapore PR, but Lauren and the boys can't, so I'm obviously not going to leave them stranded outside. And it doesn't really leave us with many options, because initially we were going to wait till this thing blew over at the end of May. Personally, my gut feeling is that it's going to last a lot longer, and we can't really wait until the 13th of June now to try and reapply for our approval to get back in, because it'd be too late. Lauren would be too far gone and she won't be able to fly. So instead, we are going to continue with our appeal through HR and just hope that we can get back into the country and go back and give birth. With the tightening of borders and the ban of most foreigners getting back into the country, I'm sure it's just a blanket wide statement. And obviously the Singapore government doesn't know about our personal situation, Lauren being pregnant and needing to get back. So we're hoping they'll be sympathetic to our appeal and grant us our approval. Thing is, you just never know, right? I mean, back in 2020 when the original lockdown happened, I had some really bad scare stories about families being separated. So you just never know. I mean, Singapore's very black and white, right? They're very by the book, and if it's not in black and white, then it's not happening.
I think what this whole situation really goes to show and really highlights is that the world is still in a very weird place. The slightest increase in numbers, in cases of infections, and now that the precedent has been set, countries can go into lockdown again and close borders. And for us, it's been quite difficult to live under those circumstances because we're not from Singapore. We don't have family there. We have found it quite challenging to be separated and kept apart from them. It's looking very unlikely that we'll be able to get to the UK to see my side of the family, which really is quite painful because Joey now is pushing on 14 months and no one's met him still. And I don't know when they will get to meet him, so it has been really difficult for us as a family. And it's raised some serious questions about where do we call home now. But that's the world that we live in, and here we are. This is the situation we're in, so let's just see what happens. Would it be that bad to stay here and give birth to little baby? I don't know, let's wait and see. Stay tuned to find out what happens. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.